Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the RNG's podcast, which we're going to title It Us and also One Not Us. I'm one of your hosts, Sir Stallion, aka the main one, and I'm here as always with Panda Pax,
The other not main one.
aka Mr. Tiny Belly Button, and
What?
we're here with our first guest ever, and he is MorbTron. Morb, hi.
Hello, and thanks for
Hello.
having me.
No worries, man. Thank you for agreeing. This is a really bad podcast. What are you doing here?
It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we have our first guest, which is awesome. So this is the start of this is the beginning of an era. And I think in true fashion, we should start at the start, get some information out of Morb. So Morb, Destiny. It's a game. You play it, right?
It is a game that I play, indeed.
When did you start playing it, and why? If you don't mind.
I started
answering.
playing Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I played the original beta maybe for like 5 minutes,
Okay.
and after that, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna buy this game, and then I've been playing it ever since. I was a lot more casual back in Destiny 1 on the Xbox, but
Sure.
when Destiny
Xbox
2
One or
hit,
Xbox 360.
started on 360.
Okay.
Because the Xbox One wasn't out yet, I don't believe.
Oh yeah, that's right. Xbox One came out, I think, like a month or two after the game, because the Destiny release and the PlayStation 4 release pretty much aligned. So there was a lot of deals, like bundles, where you're like, oh, here's the PlayStation and also Destiny. Have fun.
Yep. So yeah, then I did switch to Xbox One almost immediately, but yeah, it's been there. I started Destiny 2 on the Xbox One. Played there for like a month, and then hard switched to PC.
And that's
as
where
soon
you
as
play
I
now.
could. And that's where I play now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So unlike me and Panda, you're actually playing the game as intended, I guess.
Oh, come on. I mean, I think Bungie tries, but once you hit the PC market, there's a much wider
you say
audience.
They try, but they released a game on a current gen console capped at 30 frames per second. So I mean,
Yeah.
They did. Oh, my Xbox One would sometimes get like 5 FPS in the EDZ on launch. So that was rough.
Well, on launch, I know Xbox had a lot of problems. I played on both PlayStation and Xbox on launch, and I remember Xbox being significantly worse off than PlayStation was. I don't know if it was a hardware issue or what, but I
think it was just optimization.
Yeah, possibly.
Because Xbox and PlayStation have different hardware sets, so optimizing it for both of them, whereas PC, you're just like, here's your minimum, here's your maximum, tinker around with it, go for it.
Yep.
Do what you want.
Change all the settings.
Have fun with the game at 10 billion frames per second.
Yep.
Also, infinite fidelity. So, Morb, you've been playing since Destiny 1. Of all of Destiny franchise, what is your favorite weapon?
My favorite weapon? Well, I kind of break that down for PvP and PvE.
Okay.
Alright, that's fine.
In the Crucible, overall, I would say my favorite weapon out there is Thorn.
Mm-hmm.
It was infamous in Destiny 1.
Oh yeah.
For being overpowered in the first year and worthless pretty much after that. But it was always fun to use in the Crucible, having like the Thorn versus Last Word, and now that's kind of sort of back in Destiny 2, at least on PC, where the weapons can actually be used as intended. But I would say for PvE, might be coming out of left field here, but Telesto.
Telesto.
That's an interesting choice, actually. Why is that?
Well, first it's Besto,
Well,
but
of course.
After that, it's just so versatile. I mean, it's especially in Destiny 2 now that it's masterworked and you can generate orbs off of multi-kills. It's like taking out just hordes of small enemies is nothing to the Telesto, and even like taking out majors, ultras, and even it can do some damage to bosses too. I mean, in like Gambit, Nightfalls, Telesto for me is kind of a staple of my loadout.
Yeah.
So
I feel like in PvE, fusion rifles are a little bit underutilized. Other than like loaded question or the heavy ones, right? But I don't know. I like to every now and again just rock out with my Wizened Rebuke out. So I could see Telesto being useful in PvE. I don't know. I never thought of it as a top pick, I guess. But now that you mentioned, like, if there's an activity that where like literally every enemy spawns, you could just line Telesto shots there and just essentially passively generate orbs while you go and fight some other people.
Yep. Yeah, the first encounter in the new raid, you pretty much can see where the enemies are going to spawn in. There's a cloud of smoke, and then they appear.
Right.
Lay down a couple bursts of Telesto and a fan, and then you take out basically the whole group in one go.
Yeah. Okay. I might have to get Telesto a try then next time Void singes up.
Morb was definitely the first person to use Telesto and Blind Well for that glitch. Do you remember that?
I do.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I heard about the glitch first on a stream, and I was like, I gotta try this out. But yeah, no. When the Blind Well first released, the Telesto bolts, you'd be able to shoot them on the ground, and after they'd burst, they would count as taking out enemies. Because for whatever reason, the Telesto bolts, and curiously enough, the grenades from Mountaintop count as entities in the game for some reason. They're not just ammo.
Okay.
Or they're not like they actually count as an entity. So when the Telesto bolts would explode, the meter would fill up for Blind Well. And if you had like 2 or 3 people doing it, you literally wouldn't have to kill a single enemy. You could stay in the center bubble, then just shoot the ground with Telesto, and after the rounds would burst, it'd fill up the meter and you can move on.
Wow, I never heard about that. I guess I wasn't really playing much Blind Well when it first came out because I was desperately alone. So I was scared of it.
Yeah, you could fill up the progress bar in like 5 seconds. It was stupid sometimes.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's actually another new glitch now with Telesto and and Mountaintop. Yep, here we go. The gauntlet activity in Menagerie.
Okay.
If you're going for that, everybody has to get through all 3, and then you kill the boss. And I actually discovered this by accident too, because somebody did it when I was just queuing up solo. I didn't know what they were doing, but they stopped before going through the portal, the finish line, to get out to the regular boss arena, and they just started shooting Telesto through the portal. And then I went through, didn't think anything of it. And then as soon as the Telesto bolts went off, it said like gauntlet completed, 150 points plus, and it spammed that like 10 to 12 times, and suddenly we got the triumph for having everybody go through it without dying, even though like 3 other people had died.
Right. Yeah, there's a similar thing that Panda and I totally don't condone and do on a regular basis, where if you kill yourself right as you go through the barrier with either a grenade launcher or a rocket launcher, I guess because your ghost sits in the barrier for like a second or 2 before flashing out, it counts as you crossing it over and over and over again. So this similar effect, you get the 150 points like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, there's actually one time Stallion and I, we did that. We filled up the full progress bar on round 2, but it still had us finish.
It was round 1. We filled
it was round 1?
Yeah, we filled it up on round 1, and it was like, we don't believe you. You still got to kill this boss and go for another round. We don't need to see that again. We're gonna need a double take on that, please.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. We still had to keep going.
Full, but we had to keep going with the activity.
That's good. That's good stuff.
It was insane.
It was very funny.
I just realized that you and I have never talked about our favorite weapons, so maybe we should take this opportunity to do so.
Okay. Would you like to go first?
No. You go first.
All right. So my favorite... Probably my favorite weapon in Destiny 2, because I'm going to classify Destiny 2 and Destiny 1. Okay. Destiny 2 right now is a tie between Revoker and Recluse.
For PvE or PvP or both?
For both, honestly.
Okay.
Revoker does... It's a high-impact frame, aggressive frame, so it pretty much one-shots 90% of things unless you're in upper-end activities, right?
Sure.
Like 100k Nightfalls, Menagerie, the Raid. But that infinite ammo of getting your shots back after 2 seconds is just a very, very nice thing to have. Plus, I use it all the time in PvP now.
I have noticed.
It is my top 5. It is my 5th most used weapon in my kinetic slot.
Wait, really? It made it on the list?
It did make it on the list.
Oh no.
And Recluse is just a beast in all activities. It
you're not
chews through anything, and especially on Void Weeks, there's no competition. Like,
Right.
Telesto's great, but the infinite damage increase from Master of Arms continuously proccing itself, even on other weapon kills, is just, there's nothing that comes close to it.
Plus, in PvE, you don't really have to worry about ammo restrictions because primary ammo actually does drop like candy.
It does, for sure. And then you have Feeding Frenzy, so you don't have to ever worry about, reloading. And Stallion, I'm sure you know this, but for Destiny 1, favorite weapon, hands down, bar none, Defiance of Yasmin.
Oh, yeah, I did know that. In my head, for a second there, I was like, I have no idea what he's about to say. He's never talked about this. And then as soon as
Defiance of Yasmin.
I was like, oh, right, yeah. I remember now.
It is, for me at least, the smoothest feeling sniper. It was super unique. The scope was fantastic. It felt amazing. It was the only sniper where I was like, this is an extension of my fingers. I love it. There's nothing like it, and there's absolutely no other weapons that looked or sounded similar. So,
that's true.
It was so unique.
Yeah,
so unique.
Nothing like a burnt fish carcass.
Oh yeah.
Day off right.
Barrel stuff someone with that.
Oh yeah.
So Stallion, what are your favorite weapons?
See, now I feel like I need to define between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. So Destiny 1, like, hands down, No Land Beyond. Because I used it pre-NLB meta. I was using No Land Beyond and a fusion rifle back when No Land Beyond was seen as the worst weapon in the game, and fusion rifles were getting nerfed into the ground for no particular reason. Like, nobody was using fusion rifles, but Bungie was like, okay, we need to do something about these pulse rifles. And let's nerf fusion rifles while we're at it. So, like, fusion rifles was god-awful, so I was using No Land Beyond and fusion rifles in PvP. I was trying to be the anti-meta because I was sick of being killed by Thorn and Last Word. It never went well for me, but I had so much fun. But in Destiny 2... Oh, that's a really tough question. Probably Chaperone is my favorite PvP weapon. Because in my eyes, it has a very high skill ceiling to do like exceptionally with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like a shotgun that actually takes skill to use instead of the typical buckshot. But in PvP, it's without a doubt Merciless. I love Merciless. So
PvE?
much. PvE, yes. Did I say PvP?
You did.
I'm in PvE.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired, alright? Yeah. PvE, Merciless, because it has so much going for it, and I think it's massively underrated.
So, we heard about your favorite exotics, or at least one of your favorite exotics. Do you have a favorite exotic armor piece?
Definitely. Being a Titan main, first I have to just say that, and no, it's not One-Eyed Mask. It's gonna have to be hard.
That's
Exactly.
Is it Peacekeepers?
That's how you go about getting invited back.
Right. Although Peacekeepers plus Recluse is a mean combo that I don't see anybody use.
It's so underrated.
I think it's because of One-Eyed Mask.
Yeah, definitely. If One-Eyed gets a nerf again, which I think it should, definitely I think somebody will discover Peacekeepers, and it'll be.
You heard it here, guys. One-Eyed Mask get a nerf from a Titan main.
Right. I think any wall hacks need to be taken out of the game, but that's kind of.
Whoa! All right, let's relax there. Okay, you talk to a hunter main here, and I don't like what you're going with this.
Crutching on Wraith, huh? Crutching on Wraith.
I actually don't use Way of the Wraith at all. I'm so bad with it. I have been using Kepri Sting recently though, and my wall hacks that way. It's quite funny.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody using that.
Yeah, no, me neither. That's why I decided to rock it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do well with this. I swear to God. And then I didn't. So yeah.
But I would
so
say
what is it?
My favorite exotic armor would have to be Heart of Inmost Light.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think it's an incredibly underrated Titan exotic.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's a very unique and universal exotic. You can use it with literally any subclass tree, and it's useful both in PvE and Crucible. So, I mean, you get your abilities back faster. Just gonna quickly shout out that fusion grenades on a Sunbreaker with a Heart of Inmost Light can one shot.
Yep. I've had that happen a couple times, and it gets me so many D1 flashbacks. It hurts.
Yeah,
Right.
that sounds really good. So you said what was it? Heart of Inmost Light fusion grenades. Okay, solid. Yeah, great. Carry on.
If only it looked better. It doesn't look the best, but there's not many Titan exotics that actually look good. So
looking at you, Twilight Garrison.
Oh, that was ugly.
Yeah.
So, Heart of Inmost Light, I do like the like you use an ability, it overcharges another one, but then you get recharge ability for your other thing. So it just has this continuous loop of,
Yeah, it's
continuously feeding your.
Yeah, you see Sunbreakers using the Sunfire chest more often than not.
Hellfire Heart.
Hellfire Heart, yep. But I mean, I use that so little, I don't even remember the name of it.
Yeah.
And I'm a Titan main.
Right. Yeah.
Just
I
because
from time to time in PvE if I really need to, but I would never take it into PvP because I don't play Sunbreaker in PvP.
Yeah, just not being able to use your super to get the most out of an exotic just seems backwards to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you play Heart of Inmost Light correctly, it's nearly as effective with ability regen as Hellfire Heart, and you're not locked out of using your super, and it actually buffs the damage of your grenade and melee, buffs the health total of your shield. It's just good. It's just a good exotic overall.
Just overall good utility exotic.
Yeah.
And it does have a bit of a learning curve and a skill ceiling for it, because in order to use it well, you can't just pop barrier die or melee someone trade. So you do have to have a little bit of game sense, a little bit of knowledge, like map knowledge, positioning and stuff to use it effectively, which is, why I think a lot of people don't use it.
Yeah, it's definitely not a passive exotic. You got to learn how to use it and adapt your playstyle to it.
So what I'm hearing here is that if anyone has any questions about being a Titan main, they should message Morb. Is that what I'm getting here? Morb is the king of Titans now?
I don't know about king, but definitely.
No, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you said. King of Titans. Cool, let's carry on. Moving along. So, Panda, I'm almost scared to ask you what your favorite armor is, because I feel like you're going to talk about D1 and Twilight Garrison because I went and brought it up.
I will stick with D2. If I have to say my favorite exotic, currently, Astrocyte Verse.
How did that not pop into my head?
I'm a Warlock main. I have been for the past 2 seasons, and I am just... My loadout right now is Middle Tree, Voidwalker, so that's Nova Warp, for those of you who don't know, Astrocyte Verse, Revoker, and a Kindle Orchid.
Yeah.
And it is so aggressive, and it's so rewarding to me that I just can't stop it. But typically it is Ophidian Aspects for just neutral game exotic.
It's true, because it's a very aggressive loadout. And you can, if you ever hear any clips of Panda playing in PvP, you'll 100% without a doubt, zero satire, hear him yelling, "Be aggressive, be aggressive."
Be aggressive.
And the thing is, he doesn't need to. He doesn't even have a camera or anything. But I know he's wearing that cheerleading outfit while he's doing so.
Heck yeah, skirt and all.
Skirt and all. He's got the pom poms hanging off the back of his controller. It's insane.
No, it's off the headset, dude. So if I shake my head.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Stallion.
Just left, middle, right, middle, left, middle, right, middle.
I think I know yours, but I'm gonna let you say it.
I want to know what you think.
I want to say Stompies.
You'd be incorrect.
It would be incorrect. Okay.
You'd be incorrect. I love Stompies. Don't get me wrong. I love them. They are amazing. But no, I don't know that I have a favorite exotic at all. I use whatever helps me at the time. I don't think there's a single exotic armor piece that I pull and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to use these.
Well, I think it's just
Yay.
like less of I can't wait to use it and more just like, hey, this is a tough situation. What do I use or what do I want to have fun with or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like last week when we did the 2v2s around, we went on that exotic armor. I was fine with that. I really didn't care at all.
Yeah.
I can't think of any exotic armor that I like to fall back on. There's a couple that I find fun. Like the Shards Galnor pre-nerf were hilarious.
For sure.
But I don't know. It didn't make me want to. Oh, actually, you know what? I do. I lied to you. I just lied to your face. I do have a favorite exotic, and it's Celestial Nighthawk.
Boss Hawk.
Boss Hawk, dude. And that's just because I have the ornament on it. And it's terrifying every time I look deep into the eyes of my enemies.
Or just into your character selection screen, like, oh god, no!
Yeah.
I still have that
has
on.
To be the ugliest ornament that Bungie has ever made.
Come on now. Have you seen the one-eyed mask ornament?
You're right. You're right.
It's
The
not
one-eyed
great.
mask ornament is pretty. It's pretty out there.
Yeah. But it is. Yeah, it's not good looking at all.
So Stallion uses his Boss Hawk to burn down bosses. This week in Menagerie, we got a new boss.
Oh, look at that segue, dude. That was professional.
That's
I like
perfect segue.
Yeah, that's good. So we do. We got the new boss, the final of
Pagori?
Pagori. I keep wanting to call him Paponi, but that's a beatboxer, so it's not.
So Pagori, the challenge for Pagori is you have to lead him to each plate around the room, but only once. So you have to 3-phase him in order to get the triumph for that.
Which is kind of sad, because last week's boss, you would get the triumph if you 1-phased him, because you didn't kill any knights.
Yeah, they didn't spawn.
So, but yeah, so you have to 3-phase him. But I mean, hey, if we want to talk about 3-phasing him, I feel like we should also talk about 10-phasing him. Panda, you played some Menagerie earlier. How'd that go?
Oh my god, it was awful. So, more...
Hold on, so one second. I just want to say, me and Panda, we were testing something on PlayStation like 10 minutes before we started, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, Panda, shut up. Save this for the podcast, because this is stupid. So, I don't know all of the story yet.
So, God, this is such a... I'm so salty about this. I had 30 minutes to run a Menagerie before going into work earlier, and I was like, you know, most teams, it's week 3. You know, we should be able to fly through this in, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and I'll just hit the final chest once. That's fine. I'm on my alt, so I'm on my Titan, and my Titan is 741 power level. The next highest person in the group was 694.
Ouch.
They were 5 hunters, and one of them left after the second encounter, which we did not finish. Then we ended up repeating. We went through all 6 encounters and repeated the first and second encounter again, and then finally got to the boss. I was dumbfounded at how bad these PvEers were.
Yeah,
I've
so
never heard of that happening.
During our second podcast, I had theorized that if you failed to complete all 6 encounters or 6 activities, that is how you would fail the Menagerie. Turns out, no, you can't. You literally cannot fail the regular mode.
You cannot fail. You just repeat. 42 minutes into it, and I'm like, I gotta go to work. Like, I'm gonna be late. I finished with 213 kills and 31 deaths, which a lot of those deaths were just contributed to, hey, Panda's dead, let me respawn him because he's doing somewhat well from one of my blueberries, and then a knight killing us both. And then another blueberry would come by, revive me, jump out of the way because they don't have that momentary, like, you can't move phase, and then I get killed again. And then they try and res me, but without killing the knight or whatever else was shooting me, and I die like 5 times in a row. Like, let me respawn.
That's awful.
This is the most emotional Panda has ever been, ever. Fact.
Oh no.
There were... So we got 2 people in after I left. Both of them have 0 kills and 0 deaths. So they literally just came in, spawned, got the chest, left,
Yeah.
which I hate. And the next lowest person on, like, the next highest amount of deaths was 44, then 55, 54, 52. Like, there were so many deaths in this menagerie. It was the worst menagerie run I have ever had. And I mean, week 1 was terrible, but it's week 3. There's no excuse.
Right. Yeah, and I was gonna say arguably the easiest boss. It's not arguably. It is the easiest boss we've had so far.
Yes, the encounter's entirely just, hey, here's a whole bunch of ads, kill them, and they couldn't. And I was just like, I don't know. I can't. I just wanted rewards.
You're
I wanted to hop in, get some rewards, get some powerful stuff, maybe get a heavy weapon for my warlock so that it would be 750 all around. Like, do that sort of thing, and just nope, didn't even finish. I'm mad. I'm mad about it.
And here I'm disappointed when I solo queue and we don't like one-shot ace everything for the triumphs.
Right.
I'm okay with like not two encountering it, like 3, 4 encountering it. Like, I'm okay with that. It's just, more time spent in the menagerie, learning things, learning how to do things in the menagerie. But that was rough. That was very, very, very rough. And when we got to the boss, we didn't do enough damage to send him into the part where he goes to the 2 plates, like phase 2. So we just repeated plate 1 because we didn't do enough damage.
Wait, there's a damage threshold there that you have to hit?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow, I didn't even know that was a mechanic. I didn't
either.
Yeah.
It was so bad. I don't know how.
Panda, you might be the first and only person to know how to suck at the menagerie boss. You're the only one with this information because everyone else just plays the objective. So you should
just does it and finish.
You should message everyone on that team and say thank you. I'm gonna become. Oh my god, my mouth. I'm gonna become internet famous now because you suck.
You guys suck.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the Bungie studios, your Guardian's name is on a plaque somewhere for world's worst menagerie team.
Yeah. I like to think there's somewhere in the studio somewhere is just one dude who was like, man, I designed this mechanic that if you don't do enough damage to the boss, you would have to repeat the first phase and you won't be able to get the triumph because of it no matter how well you did afterwards. But no one's doing it, man. Everyone's doing so well. And
Ding! Panda's team.
Deej walks in with a piece of paper because I don't know why, but in my head, Deej is like a little errand boy with a piece of paper and he hands it to him and it's just your name and the amount of time that it took and what happened. And he's just like,
here's an after action report.
Yeah. Like, someone use my mechanic!
Oh man, that was brutal.
Man.
It's very unfortunate.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like to bash on blueberries at all.
I do.
But that was bad.
Right.
But Morb, how's your time in Menagerie? Because I don't want to talk about mine anymore.
Yeah, what do you think of the new boss compared to the last 2?
I think all of them have been really good, and I've had very unique mechanics. I mean, the week 1, the death wall, was unique. Was very interesting. I saw more than a few people, die to it, thinking they could survive it in a super. I mean, unless you're a Titan, you can't do that. So,
King of the Titans back again.
Yep. So you can survive it in a bubble, and you can survive it guarding in Code of the Commander. But other than that, yeah, you're done for. But I thought all of them are good, and honestly, I kind of want more. That's I would say that's the only problem that I have with Menagerie overall is I just want more, and that's a good problem for Bungie to have with anything, is that a player just wants more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to farm consistently for god roll weapons and armor by putting a token into the encounter and just doing it it's great. And
Yeah.
Menagerie is by far the best. I call them insert token, receive loot activities in Destiny history. I mean,
For sure.
we had Court of Oryx in Destiny 1. We had another one with Year 3. I can't remember the name of.
Archon's
The Archon's Forge.
There we go.
I loved Archon's Forge.
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, but we had Escalation Protocol and Warmind, which was kind of its own little nightmare with being out in the open environment. You know, we had Reckoning last season, and I think now they've finally perfected the insert token, receive loot activities. And
yes,
the loot pool is great. You know, being able to farm for not only Menagerie weapons and armor, but also weapons and armor from the rest of the game in there as well.
Yeah,
is really nice. Getting the tokens from completing any playlist activity in the rest of the game makes the rest of the activities in the game have more value to them as well. So
yes,
it's by far probably the best single activity Bungie's ever added into the game.
I agree. I'm just kind of worried for what's going to happen with Shadowkeep.
Yeah,
because if they continue along this trend, then we're going to have so many, excess Menagerie runes. But I don't know how much Menagerie is going to get brought forward after, Shadowkeep drops, or what's going to happen then. So we'll have to see, but I'm definitely going to farm so much Menagerie right now. It's insane.
I mean, it'd be really, really easy for Bungie to just be like, okay, we need to figure out how to bring Menagerie up with the annual pass, because this last year with Forsaken, the first season of Forsaken, we didn't get any annual pass content until Season of the Forge, at which point it was nothing but annual pass content. But I'm hoping they kind of sprinkle a little bit of that in with Shadowkeep. When Shadowkeep rolls around, they bring up the Forges, they bring up Reckoning, and they bring up Menagerie as ways for you to get loot. Maybe lock them out for the first however long, like they did with the raids at the beginning of this season for the sake of the raid race. I can kind of understand that. Like, lock them out for the first week, but then, I don't know, maybe there's a side quest where it's like, oh, so about that Leviathan, well, as it turns out, the Hive are branching out. They have it now, you need to help take it back, and that's how they bring Menagerie back, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Them bringing up older content to current level, and maybe not having it provide a massive power increase, but, like 1 or 2.
Yeah, like
the current raids do that. I think it'd be a great way for Bungie to make the game feel deeper, with a lot more content to choose from than just what's new. And having
that was one of the best things I did with Destiny 1 was bringing Crota and Vault of Glass up to level in Year 3. Because
that was a good
instead
time.
Of being like, oh, I have to do Wrath of the Machine, if you want to be a raider, instead of being limited to whatever raid is still relevant, you could do any of them. You could do whichever one was your favorite, which for a lot of people meant playing a lot of VoG, so much VoG.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. No, the armor sets you could have gotten from there, with the ornaments on them, were fantastic. I've heard from endless numbers of people that they want to see raid ornaments like that, where warlocks are walking around with mechanical legs, and titans would have a bunch of hive runes and horns coming out of them and stuff like that. It was really good.
And hunters would stay exactly the same.
Yep. Creepy.
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone would just be Celestial Nighthawk with the ornament all the time.
Oh God, no. So we've talked a little bit about.
Am I Celestial Nighthawk Hunter? You don't like when you're in my vault, or in your vault, and I'm just crouching behind you, waiting.
No, I don't like that. That's gonna give me nightmares now. Thanks.
Okay, good. Hey, just don't think about the fact that technically I'm a bird, so I can get anywhere.
God, no. So we've talked a little bit about Menagerie, but we haven't talked much about the loot of it.
Yeah.
So I have fully upgraded all of my chalice. Stallion, I know you're very close.
Yeah,
Morb, how about you?
I'm at like 6,000 Imperials. I need 8,000 for the last upgrade.
Mine is fully upgraded as well. I just did that a few days ago.
Okay, so I'm the scrub here. Good.
Good. Yeah. So that's super exciting. And now once you do like Imperial things, it just drops more um runes for you, which I think
Yeah.
is a great mechanic because, I was looking at it earlier and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all of these Imperials once I get finished? Because there's so many triumphs I haven't finished yet, and
Oh, yeah.
they drop Imperials, and like the Werner bounties drop Imperials. So I'm like, what am I gonna get from this? So getting runes back on that is definitely a smart choice. Um,
I kind of wish they had made it some sort of trade system. Like once your chalice was fully upgraded, Warner has a second page and it has all the runes there, and it's like 250 Imperials a rune. You know, and maybe that could be a good use for Imperials. So instead of just
That'd have been
getting
good.
runes randomly, you could actually pick and choose. That would have been nice.
yeah,
I get it.
I think a rune trading system, like, hey, here's 2 runes for one of these runes.
Yeah.
Because I have so many purple runes. I don't know what to do with them, but I have no blue runes and I have very little green runes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat there.
Um, but speaking of rune combos and things, what weapons are you looking for? Like what god rolls?
Well, I got very lucky, and I have 2 Austringer god rolls already.
Okay.
One for PvE, one for Crucible. So I'm not farming for any more of those. I have a really good fixed odds roll, a really good beloved roll, but I'm searching right now for a good roll on the Epicurean, the fusion,
Uh-huh.
and haven't managed to get a good roll yet on the Imperial Decree, the shotgun.
What role
So,
are you looking for in the Epicurean?
I thought I had a god roll in my hands the other day, having I had backup plan and quick draw on it,
Okay.
and being able to switch to it nearly instantaneously and just firing it off immediately was nice. Um, but it just didn't feel as good as some other fusion rifles in the Crucible. So I ended up sharding that one, and I'm still on the search for it. But I'm just kind of, when I get something that has quick draw or backup plan on it, I play around with it for a little bit and see how it feels. Fusions for me are kind of in a weird spot. A lot of them are very inconsistent, and even some of my favorite fusions, the legendary ones, sometimes they're right on target, and sometimes it feels like the fusion bolts paint the perfect outline of a guardian in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crucible.
Yeah. No, I've definitely had that before.
And it can be kind of frustrating.
But
So
in
I'm
the
not.
worst possible way, because I mean,
Yeah,
in a way, you do kind of want to paint the perfect Guardian outline, but with the goo that the Guardians become, not so
right,
much
exactly.
drawing around them.
Yep, I want to leave the
More
outline
of a
of the
silhouette,
guardian on
more of
the
a
wall
silhouette than an
behind them.
outline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm just kind of playing around with the Epicureans that I get. If they have, as long as they have a good roll,
Sure. Yeah.
or a couple good perks on them or something like that. But the Imperial Decree, definitely going for like max range on a shotgun. That one can get surrounded as well, so I'm going for like a surrounded field prep or surrounded assault mag full auto, something like that.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be handy in PvE.
On the topic
Yep.
of the fusion rifle, I there are a few rolls that I want to get my hands on because I have an idea for a few builds, specifically Warlock builds for them. Because I don't know if you know who Cool Guy is. He's a YouTuber.
Oh yeah.
He made a video on the Epicurean, and I watched it, and I was like, huh. So it's not quite as good as Narentil, but it does have interesting perk combos. Maybe I can make it work. Because ever since then, I've been a fusion lover. So even if it's not ideal, I think maybe if I had the right role, I can come up with some really interesting like quick play loadouts. So there's a few things like I do want to farm for that at some point, but I'm really sad because everything I've heard back from pretty much everyone's like, yeah, no, it's a fusion rifle, but a Rentil though. I was like, I don't want to use it though.
But you like Wizened Rebuke over Erentil.
I do, yeah, but that could be because I have a really good Pleasant Rebuke roll, and none of my rentals have come close to it.
You know what's interesting about fusions, especially on PC, you really don't see air intel at all. Yeah, and fusions are actually probably one of the least used weapon types in the game on PC.
I can believe that.
Yeah. They're just not consistent enough for PC. I mean, a lot of people are running around sniping now, or they're wearing the W off of their W key and just running at you with a shotgun.
Sure.
But you know, air intel fusions in general, they just don't respond well to the meta on PC, and I do really, really enjoy fusions, and actually my favorite fusion to use right now is actually the Proelium FR3.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's interesting. I've heard nothing but hate for that weapon.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it.
So much so to the point that whenever I get it, I look at it, I'm like, I don't even care if this is a good roll, because I don't think I'm ever going to use it. But I probably should. I need to stop being I need to stop being such a shard snob.
So what do you like about that?
I like that. I don't really like backup plan.
Okay.
Me neither.
So if I'm going to be using a weapon, I don't want to be forced to have it holstered and have to react to somebody coming around a corner at me, or switching to it and pre-firing with backup plan isn't going to work 9 times out of 10. You're just going to waste your ammo.
Sure.
Yep.
So when I have a fusion rifle, I want to have it out, and I want to use my radar and pre-charge it a little bit.
You want to play to the gun, not to the enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my Proelium, granted it doesn't have the range; it can't hit people across the map like a Proelium can, but the role that I have is it's got tap the trigger on it, which goes off with every fire of it because it's not a full auto weapon.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's got threat detector, which the effective range of a Proelium is within that threat detector range. So if I have it out and I see threat detector pop up, I know they're within kill range of my weapon. It's really nice.
Okay.
And not only that, but having threat detector on the weapon just makes the fusion bolts just more accurate, more concentrated, makes the weapon just overall better.
I've heard a couple people vouch for threat detector.
Well. Yeah, it's a good weapon. It's a good perk to have on shotguns and a Proelium or a short range fusion. So definitely don't count it out. It might not be the way to go on console.
But nothing's the way to go on console. Everything's just a shambles.
Yeah.
We're a mess of aim assist and bloom.
Oh yeah, bloom too. I mean, PC still has bloom.
Yeah.
It's not as bad though.
Yeah.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad. You're right.
And you never get cucked by aim assist. There's nothing worse than scoping in with a sniper rifle and being like, oh, I see a guy, and then aiming at the head, and then his buddy running past him, and then dragging your scope away, so you end up shooting between the two.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, I don't like that about the aim assists on using a controller. Because if you use a controller on PC, you still have that issue too.
Yeah. It's a controller issue, not a platform issue.
Yeah. It can be definitely frustrating, but mouse and keyboard.
I get that they're trying to help with it. They're like, oh well, consoles they're not tools for precision, or controllers are not tools for precision like a mouse and keyboard are. It's aim in the vague area and hope for the best. So they're trying to help you along with that, but at the same time, stop it. Stop helping me.
Yeah.
I've been using controller for a decade. I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. At least give me the option to turn it off.
Yeah,
like
we've definitely been playing consistently because Stallion and I are both on PlayStation. It's how we met, and there's been many a time where you're just like, "Oh, come on!" and it's because aim assist.
Yeah.
So
there have been many outbursts of strange and just generally uncomfortable word combinations out of my mouth thanks to aim assist.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get. I wouldn't want to get my accuracy stolen from me by another enemy running by.
Exactly.
That'd feel real bad.
I really do just wish they would turn it off, because the thing is, like, again, I get it's supposed to be I mean, it's an assist, right? But I should be able to opt out of that.
Mm-hmm.
If it's default on, everyone has it all of the time, but you can turn it off. Great, I'll take the disadvantage and learn to be a better player for it. Just give me that option, please, Bungie. Cosmo, if you're listening, and I know you are, do something, man. Go talk to someone that actually has some power.
Give DJ Turkey.
Also, this is totally unrelated, but I have a headcanon that both Cosmo and Deej share a supply closet and a single iPad. And I also have a source that tells me that Deej likes to be the little spoon. In the supply closet, obviously.
Of course. So let's just talk about further PC and controller differences with Lord of Wolves.
Oh yeah.
That's a big one.
We talked about this a little bit before we started recording, and I had to put a hold on it because more of you had some words.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people shouting from the top of a soapbox saying that Lord of Wolves is running rampant right now on PC. And that's honestly, there have been times in the past where weapons have run rampant in the Crucible on both console and on PC. But what we have right now, this Lord of Wolves plague, I think is more of a false flag. It's not really there. I mean, granted, the weapon can kill from a ridiculous distance because of the lack of recoil there is using mouse and keyboard. But people calling for, the weapon to be, unequipable during this week in Iron Banner, or just unequipable at all. Just delete the weapon, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Is a bit much. I mean, granted, if you're a warlock or have a warlock buddy, you're standing in an enhancement rift or a well of radiance, you can take out an enemy guardian 60 meters away with a single burst. But comparing it to other shotguns and people using shotguns, normal shotguns, and the Lord of Wolves, there's really not much difference there. I mean, most of the time people are just corner camping with a Lord of Wolves, and it's the same amount of deaths either way. Either they're going to come at you with a Lord of Wolves, or they're going to come at you with a Dustrock Blues, or insert any other shotgun here.
Yeah.
And
except rapid fires.
Yeah, and most of the time when I've been taken out by somebody using a Lord of Wolves, it's within the same range that somebody would have headshot kill me with a chaperone. So I don't really see the weapon as overpowered as a lot of people have. I mean, granted, being able to take somebody out from 60 meters is ridiculous, and maybe they need to look into the effective range of the weapon overall. But overall,
that's
the damage,
super niche.
It incredibly niche, yeah. And overall, the damage is just like a shotgun, except it takes quite a while for that 10-round burst from the Lord of Wolves to actually hit their target.
Yeah, I think it's
you were saying that earlier,
because there are a couple things that kind of bother me about the way people are talking about it. Like you said, it has about the same effective kill range when playing aggressively as Chaperone. And people are like, well, that's stupid because that kill range belongs to Chaperone. Why? They're both exotics. And I don't have a problem with them occupying the same range.
Right.
It's not a problem for me. But then also, something to take into account that I think is hilarious is there's a reason that shotguns, when it comes to how useful they are in PvP, one of the biggest things people will talk about is their one-hit kill range and not their time to kill, because the time to kill is instant. that is not the case with Lord of Wolves. Lord of Wolves is a shotgun that has a time to kill, so it's already inherently worse than other shotguns. You just have more range with it. So there is a balance there. It just needs to be fine-tuned.
Yeah, I think nerfing the range with Lord of Wolves is hopefully all that they do. I'm really hoping they don't nerf it into the ground to make it useless like it has been.
Honestly, like, and they could do it so well if they just changed the bolt animation. Like, if after a certain range, the bolts went like rogue and just kind of spread out a bit, you know. So no matter how accurate you are as a player outside of its effective range, it's entirely down to RNG how many of those actually hit. So that you have to use it within its intended range if you're going to be effective with it.
Right.
Or they
Maybe
could do it like
a hook on them or something.
Yeah. Or they could do it like Legend of Acreus, where if you're outside of the range, it just doesn't do damage.
Yeah, give it like lightsaber range.
Which I think would be hysterical, but a little bit overdue, a little bit too hard of a nerf.
I think it'd be kind of cool though. You know, you just fire it all, and it's like, and then as soon as it gets to its effective or the outside of its effective range, just poof, little puff of smoke.
I mean, that's kind of how it worked in D1 too. Is like there was an effective range, and then there was a range where it just straight didn't do damage, or like one bolt out of however many it shot at that time, I think 5, would hit, which was ridiculous.
It's fair to compare it to how it was in D1 though, because as of right now, it's a weapon that does something. Didn't do that in D1.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty
But
much didn't exist in D1.
But at the very least, if they changed it in the way that I'm saying, it would be us in effect similar to D1, and it would still have its, chaperone-esque range. It would have the time to kill instead of one hit kill, and I think that'd be okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and I think it could be really cool to see, a couple people, both of them using Lord of Wolves. One of them's a Titan using Antaeus wards, and they like slide into that kill range, knowing that they're sliding into the kill range, and kill someone with their own Lord of Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really fun to see. And then if they don't kill with all of the bolts, they could just clean up with their own Lord of Wolves. Because again, the gun has a TTK, and there's a gap between when you can and can't fire it. Yep. It's not a broken exotic.
I would say the only toxic game that I had going up against people using Lord of Wolves, and take into account that on my Warlock, which this is the character I've done the Iron Banner quest on this week, I've completed it, and so I've spent a lot of time. I think probably total about 8 hours doing Iron Banner, just constant. Only one fire team of 6. So pre-made fire team of 6, only one of them had been all using Lord of Wolves. Yeah. And for a lot of the bigger people in the community standing on their soapboxes saying everybody's using Lord of Wolves, everybody's having a bad time. It's actually most of those top tier players, most of those bigger players that are the ones using the Lord of Wolves. Because they're quote unquote bringing attention to the problem.
And I think it's another one of those things where it's like, it's a reaction thing. Like if someone wants to do a live comm and they're like, oh, let's test exactly how broken the Lord of Wolves is. So they equip Lord of Wolves, they go into Iron Banner, they kill a couple people, and those people go, oh, you want to use Lord of Wolves? Fine, I'll use Lord of Wolves. And then the entire enemy team is using Lord of Wolves, but they've gone and made their own point instead of it happening organically.
Yep.
Which is something I liked about your video where you're up against that 6 stack. Was you weren't using Lord of Wolves to try and make the point. You were just showing the gameplay of the only time you ran into something like that.
Yeah, it was literally the only time. And any other game where I've been playing Iron Banner, I think at most there was 3 people in total using it in the lobby.
Yeah.
So saying that it's running rampant and then it's plaguing the Crucible, it's kind of not entirely true. Now in competitive, that's a different story. A lot of people going for, the path of least resistance to get a win. So they're going to use the best weapons out there, and I can understand that.
For sure.
And you really can't fault people for doing that either, especially when they're grinding for the competitive weapons, you know.
Yeah.
But in Iron Banner has always been the crucible activity that's brought out the most toxicity in the game, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
And
no, like Iron Banner is one of those activities where you read about it in the TWAB and you're like, oh hell yeah, Iron Banner's next week, and you play 2 games. And you're like, right, now I remember why I didn't play Iron Banner last time.
exactly.
That's right. This is stupid.
But
So.
I gotta say, even though Iron Banner has supposedly been, or not Iron, sorry, the Lord of Wolves has supposedly been running rampant this week. This has probably been the most fun I've had at an Iron Banner in a very long time, and that's coming from somebody that has only equipped Lord of Wolves for a 2-minute intro of a video showing the difference between mouse and keyboard and controller. I haven't used it in a single activity since they originally buffed shotgun damage, and I tried it out in the Last Wish.
Sure.
So,
see, I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant to say that I've been having fun in Iron Banner because a couple weeks ago I said I was having fun in comp, and then for 2 days straight, me and Panda just got absolutely curb stomped in comp. So I think there might be a connection there. So I'm not gonna say anything. But I've been playing Iron Banner. Let's just say that much.
that's good.
And I think we've said this before, but Stallion and I play on PlayStation, Morby play on PC, and in at least my experience, I've solo queued, I've stacked up, done the whole experience of Iron Banner. I've only ever like really noticed maybe like 3 people using Lord of Wolves over the entire week.
Yeah.
And every single time they end with a sub 1.0 KD or efficiency. So like to
Except
say
when
it's
I
running
use it,
ramp,
because I'm a little
except when
bit
you
short.
use it. So on that just kind of shows the console and PC variances because it's just not the same.
Yeah,
And you
the
showed it
divide.
again in your video. So if you haven't seen the video, link will be in the description. But it's definitely not the same sandbox.
Yeah. I think that's. I mentioned it earlier, but I don't think we were recording at the time. I'm scared, man, because this is the first time that Lord of Wolves has been fun in PvE, and the problem is any of the changes that people are calling for, if Bungie makes those changes, it's not just that you'll never see it again in PvP. You'll never see the gun again, because it will serve no purpose anywhere. And the thing is, like, Panda, you've mentioned this, it's not doing anything now that it couldn't do before without a little bit of setup.
Yep.
Because I remember one time, something I did was I threw on my Antaeus wards, I threw on Lord of Wolves, and I had a rally barricade. So I would get 1 kill, and then I would throw up my rally barricade, and I would sit behind it, and I would beam anyone that came toward heavy. Because it was just fun. And it was a pain, and I only managed to pull it off like the whole of twice out of like 8 games. But it was so fun when it was active, so when they made the change, I was like, alright, maybe I'll give that a try at some point. And then I get a frantic message from Panda, like, listen, I've heard some bad things, we need to test this. I was like, oh no. Please no.
But it's not the same, but it did pretty much, before Season of Opulence, you got the kill, you got Release the Wolves, and then you could go to town.
Yeah.
Now you just proc Release the Wolves and go to town without the setup, but it was pretty much the same gun.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm not necessarily very confused, but I'm just a little peeved by people going outcries with Lord of Wolves, because it was just as strong, just with a little bit more setup before.
Yeah. It's not so much that they like buffed the gun and made it ridiculous. They just lowered the skill ceiling.
Yep. They lowered the entry to get good with the gun.
Yeah. Just get good.
So we've kind of danced around the topic a little bit. Iron Banner. There's a quest. Armor.
There's a quest. You get the armor as you go. So we'll give a quick breakdown of what the quest is before we talk about it. So the first step is to defeat enemies, I believe. And for that you get one of the armor pieces, and the next step you have to cap zones, and then you get an armor piece. So it's basically every step thus far is play the game. play Iron Banner. And then it gets to the ability kills step, and all of these steps are across the team too. So it's not just leaning on you. So the ability kills is, I could be totally wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying 200 super kills, 100 melee kills, and 150 grenade kills.
Sounds right.
Which is not that big a deal. But everyone and their grandmother is complaining about it, and something I just want to interject really quick. This is not a one-night quest that Bungie is trying to get you to complete. It's a quest for the season, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like, anyway. And then the next part is you have to get kills with specific weapons. You have to get kills with a scout rifle, an auto rifle, a fusion rifle, sniper rifle, and then sword kills. Again, across the team. And then the final one...
And across the season.
Yeah. The final one is complete matches, and when you go on a win streak, you get more progression towards that. The two steps that everyone is complaining about right now are the ability kills and the weapon kills. Morb, you just said that you completed the quest on your warlock, yeah?
Yep.
Did you have an issue with any of it? Like, did you, when I say have an issue, not was it difficult, but do you take issue with any of the steps?
The only thing that I had an issue with was the quest step where you had to get a bunch of different weapon kills.
Sure.
And snipers, I didn't equip a single sniper rifle, and that got completed for me because of the amount of people that snipe on.
Yeah, mine got done. It had nothing to do with the rest of my team. Just this fucking furry fucking here with us. Panda was using a sniper rifle, and I was trying desperately to get my fusion rifle kills, and my sniper rifle kills were done first after 2 games because of this man.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I had an auto rifle, fusion rifle, and a sword equipped, and by the time I got those 3 done, the sniper had been done for quite a while.
Yeah.
Scout rifles, though. Oh boy.
Yeah, let's talk about scout rifles in a very general sense. They suck.
They do. They suck
it's
terribly.
A real shame. Like, the only ones that are halfway viable are 150s, but even then, just use a hand cannon. They're better. It's sad.
Yeah, so I still have the scout rifles in my warlock's inventory that I tried using.
Okay.
So I have this no feelings that's full auto explosive payload.
Cool.
Oh boy.
And I had, not very much success with that. And I just got to go out and say that on PC, I'm not sure what the meta environment is like on console, but I would say generally over 50% of a lobby are using sniper rifles right now.
Oh yeah, no, it's very much the same on console. Everyone and their grandmother is busting out the old snipers.
So combined, half the lobby basically hard scoping all the time, with pulse rifle range being ridiculous, and scout rifles are just kind of like left in the dark. I mean, you're gonna peek a corner and either get your face blown off by a sniper rifle, or you're going to try to 1v1 a pulse rifle and
get flanked by Lord of Wolves.
Not really.
Yeah.
And I had such a bad time. The scout rifle that did it for me, that quest, I was on that quest last night on stream for 3.5 hours.
On just
that step?
Just the weapons.
Oof.
Because scout rifles were taking forever.
Yeah.
And I was using the no feelings, and then I tried switching to the new raid scout that I can't pronounce, and I'm not going to embarrass myself.
Sure.
But that's a 150.
It's Noblesse. I don't remember the first part of it though. Khalees?
So it's yeah, close enough. Better than I would do.
Yeah,
the no feelings is a 180, and I think has a pretty decent roll. My raid scout is moving target rangefinder, and I just wasn't having it. I actually switched to and pulled out of my vault a Black Scorpion 4SR, the 260 RPM full auto viced scout rifle.
Yeah.
And after I did that, I got that part of the quest done in 3 games.
You know what's funny is I've talked to quite a few people about that step because Panda and I are in a Discord server where there are often people just like, I don't get it. What am I doing wrong with X, Y, and Z? So when it came to the scout rifle, a lot of people were like, what do I use? And everyone was suggesting the Black Scorpion, and then like other people would chime in and be like, yo, I forgot about that gun. That's gonna make scout rifles so easy. That's gonna be sick. And like 10 minutes later, you see them post a message like, no, Black Scorpion sucks too. Guys, it's over.
Yeah.
Scout rifles are terrible.
Yeah, it's a completely different environment on console because Black Scorpions, they have very fast rate of fire and very low range, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're contesting with autos at that point in time.
Yep.
And in a 1v1 environment where you're, Black Scorpion versus, Suros or Cerberus, which are 2 top dogs on console at least, autos are going to win every time.
Yeah, it's a sad world when a scout rifle is scared of an auto rifle.
Exactly.
This ain't the Destiny I knew and loved.
Even like powerhouses, at least on console, like Mida, Jade Rabbit, Polaris Lance, like they're top contenders, but they're still struggling.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, no matter what anyone tells you, if you're ever having a conversation about scout rifles with someone and they're like, "Oh, just use the cut and run. It's like an energy Jade Rabbit." No, it isn't. It's nothing.
It is not.
It is awful. I used it for the last portion of my quest because I had the Black Talon equipped for the sword kills, and I was like, "This is terrible. Why did anyone let me do this?" And then my chat was like, "Yeah, we know. Yeah, we knew that was gonna happen. Just roll with it." Great. Thanks, man. You guys suck.
Yeah. The biggest issue, though, I think the reason why it took me so long to get the scout rifle kills is at that time I was solo queue, and for most of this I was solo queue. I would say 90% of it. And people are using autos and fusions and swords and snipers. Literally nobody else was ever using a scout rifle. So yeah. I don't know if they just didn't do the quest or they had just sprinted through it, the first couple days, and I was left in the dust. But yeah, it was solo for the scout kills and competing against any other weapon out there with a scout. It's rough. So
yeah, scout rifles are in a weird place right now. I was actually saying to Panda just last night. One of my favorite combinations for a while was Jade Rabbit Bad Reputation, which is the 600 RPM SMG. So off meta that it hurts. But that was the loadout that I got my first ever We Ran Out of Medals with. So I have a special place in my heart for it. And it would be elevated so much if they could just change it so that 150 scouts could 2-crit 1 body. Because I don't see why they can't. It would make sense. Just give them a little bit of a damage boost, Because as it stands right now, there's no reason to use a 150 scout over any other weapon in the game, and that's sad. So I think they need to have a little bit of an edge. I think the fire rate and being able to, 2-crit 1 body would make them viable. It wouldn't make them competitive, but it'd make them more useful in quick play, a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. I'm sad, man. I like scout rifles. I loved scout rifles in D1. I was excited to be able to pair a scout rifle and a hand cannon when I played the D1 beta or the D2 beta. But we don't talk about how that went. So I love scouts. I really do. And they're just in such a bad place, and it makes me sad. It's upsetting. It took me way too long to get the scout step done.
Yeah, scouts definitely need some loving still.
Yeah.
I am still on that step, simply because I work a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't have as much time as Stallion to play Destiny. And, oh boy, I'm not excited.
I guess just listening to me and Morb talk about how much it sucks, and you're just like, oh, I have to do that. No.
Because here's the thing. I was saying before that my loadout is, Astrocyte Verse, Revoker, Candle Orchid, and whatever heavy weapon. I blew through all of the sniper kills before any of the other weapon types had over 10%. And so like that is my loadout. That is my fun. I want to succeed, but also, challenge myself because it's not super meta. But just it's so every single time I load into a match with a sky rifle, I get like 2 kills. I'm like, I just want to go back. I want to be done. I don't like this.
See, that's your first mistake. You don't play Iron Banner to have fun.
That's I don't know. I guess the only other problem I have with that quest, especially that quest step, going into Iron Banner, the most toxic, non-competitive in the sense of it doesn't count towards getting competitive weapons, doesn't give you glory. Being forced to use the extremely not meta to complete that quest. When I finally got done with it and could go back to using a loadout I actually enjoy using, I said to my chat, I was like, being forced to use weapons that aren't fun, that aren't competitive, that aren't good enough to be in Crucible, like being forced to do that, it almost wasn't worth completing it. I really wanted the armor, so I forced myself through it, but it felt bad. Honestly, it wasn't a good time.
I'm sure there's
like you said, these were incredibly off-meta weapons, which means that a lot of the time, especially like in my case, for example, none of them were on lat level. They were all like sub 730. So when I was in Iron Banner, where light level matters, it's the only Crucible playlist where light level matters. Not only was I using weapons with a less than optimal time to kill, but the enemies were killing me so much easier because I was a lower light. So it was just a struggle.
Yeah, it definitely was not fun.
But I finessed my way through it.
I had to infuse my Black Scorpion up to 730, but my character being at 750 overall kind of didn't make that hurt as much. But I could see, like, if somebody was still leveling up and then having to switch these off meta weapons that they don't have at level.
I mean, at the time I was 743 when I started on my hunter. So equipping anything any lower than that, and I was at like a 10 light level disadvantage, which doesn't sound like a whole lot. When you're actually in the Iron Banner and you see the damage numbers and you feel the damage you're taking, it's such a big deal. It's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I didn't have the armor on light level to like buff my resilience either, so I was a low resilience, low light level hunter.
It's a bad
squishy.
Squishy as hell.
But I know at least a couple people, and I'm just gonna lowball this and say, like, 400, 500 Destiny players definitely stopped playing Iron Banner once they got to that step, and they're like, I have to use these weapons? Nah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty more than 500 that actually did that, but I'm just lowballing it for like a rough estimate, because most people know what like 500 people are. 500 people stopping playing a game because of one quest step is a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
Imagine that on a scale of Destiny where there's 1 million people playing at any given time.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's ridiculous, really.
Yep.
I understand the quest step, but they could have picked something better.
Yeah, they shouldn't have incentivized using off-meta weapons in anything other than like quick play for a quest there.
Although I did have a weird amount of fun getting the sword kills, I'll admit. I didn't think I was going to. I saw that step, and I was like, that is the only one of these that I'm definitely not going to be able to complete. But running around with a Black Talon was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I use Black Talon as well. I only picked up power ammo, I would say less than 5 times in total.
Yeah.
Because I don't pick up power ammo most Crucible games. I don't know. I like using my hand cannon and my special weapon more than I like sitting by a purple box waiting for a timer to count down. But
I mean, if I spawn and I'm right next to it and it's up, I'll pick it up. Or if I kill an enemy and they had power ammo, I'll pick it up. But I'm not. I don't like waiting around for it either.
Yeah, and most of the time when I see the power's about to come up and I'll run up to it, there's already, somebody that's been waiting there for, so long that they have like a little pop-up grill, maybe a tent. They've been camping the power ammo for so long. It's like, you know what, bud, you have it. You have fun.
You deserve it.
Right.
I streamed the entire quest, and when I was on the sword step, I was obviously seeking out heavy ammo, and I ran over to the box, and I was like, oh, 12 seconds? That's fine, I'll just wait here for 12 seconds. And I did, and the only person that said anything in my chat was one of my moderators, and he was like, wow, this is the longest fucking 12 seconds of my life. Like, alright guys, come on now.
Yeah, waiting for power ammo is boring.
Oh, it is.
The only time I will actively wait for power ammo is comp. Because heavy training in comp is very, very effective. But in quick play, if it's up, it's up. If not, whatever. And I talked to Stallion about this on the last podcast. If you haven't tried it, Legend of Acreus, super fun.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I love
for
this
a second
thing.
there, I was like, is he really going to talk about truth again?
No. Legend of Acreus.
Yeah. Is a solid weapon. I need to finish the quest so that I can infuse it up.
You don't even need to infuse it up. You got that. It still does range. It still does all the stuff that you need to.
But it's stuck on my hunter, and I hate it. I want to vault it, but I can't.
Wow, you haven't done any of the quests, have you?
No.
He's done Leviathan once.
I've done Leviathan the whole of once.
And I was there for that.
Yeah, Panda carried me. I've only done 2 Destiny 2 raids ever. 1 Leviathan and 1 Skies of the Past.
Wow.
I've been there for both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm
not much of a raider. I like PvE a lot, but I don't know. I feel like everyone already has their established groups, and I'm not a big fan of LFGing for raids because raids can be very intense, and I don't want to meet new people under those circumstances.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of tough trying to find a team that is willing to put up with me.
I do like raiding, and we will end on this because we've talked for a very long time. And I respect your time, Morb. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
But final question: favorite raid?
Oh boy.
Across
I would
both
have
B1
to
and
say. Ooh,
yes.
That makes it even harder.
Yeah, I know.
I would have to say No, I gotta figure it out. My favorite raid between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 would have to be Vault of Glass in Destiny 1.
Okay. Solid answer.
And that's not because it's super well thought out and the encounters are really tricky and took a long time to figure out the first time. It was more just the nostalgia of the first raid I've ever done in a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
And just figuring it out and doing raid mechanics, I've played other MMOs in the past and doing raids in those, and those are all third person, and usually you're zoomed out far enough to where you can see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And having that be the first raid that I've ever done in first person, there was a steep learning curve, and finally getting through it and not cheesing Atheon off the cliff with Warlock grenades. I remember cowering in a corner, behind a box, waiting for my icebreaker to generate ammo.
Right, yeah. Solid strat, dude. Solid strat.
Right, and then finally being able to take him down. It was nice, and being able to revisit that at the end of Destiny 1 was even better.
Sure.
That's gonna have to be my answer there.
Except screw the Atheon challenge. That one was so hard.
Yeah. I remember that, actually. I think I completed it the whole of twice, and I was the reason that my team kept fucking it up. Because I was like, guys, I don't know what weapon I should be using, because at this point, Galahorn wasn't as good as it was in in year 1. So I was like, I don't know what heavy weapon to be using. What should I throw on? And they were like, "Oh, dude, Sleeper Sim, without a doubt, Sleeper's is the best right now." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So
You
then
killed yourself?
I would go through and I would shoot the Oracle. I would shoot my Oracle, and it would bounce straight back at me, and I would die. So I would destroy
Yep.
the Oracle, and I would destroy myself.
Nice.
So that was it. It also put an end to a lot of our flawless raider runs.
Yep.
It got to a point and they were like, "Stallion, just equip anything else." I was like, "But what about the DPS?" Like, fuck the DPS. We'll just do an extra phase. Just unequip it. Just unequip the sleeper simulant. Like, alright, well, if you say so. It was rough. So, Panda, I already know your answer. But go ahead. What was your favorite raid?
Wrath of the Machine.
Yeah.
That was the first raid, because I came in after Destiny, Destiny 1's Taken King expansion. So I was very late to the game,
Yeah,
and
little nerd.
I was a Taken top, and so Wrath of the Machine was the first raid that I could experience, day one, which was very exciting for me because I had done King's Fall. But Wrath was, obviously new. So learning something new, learning it with everyone else and the community at large was, a very humbling experience. And then being able to get good enough at the raid where if someone messed up, we could recover it and still do it and finish it, or doing dumb challenges like one person was the only person to use the Scorch Cannons and they had to just book it around the encounter room to do all of that while the other 5 people just twirl their thumbs. Like, stupid challenges like that made Wrath of the Machine just so good for me. And then the weapons on top of that were just so unique. They're not like King's Fall weapons, but they were like...
Whoa! Relax.
Well, I mean, like, the King's Fall weapons were very unique. They were visually unique. They were Hive-themed weapons. But, like, the Siva weapons from Wrath of the Machine, you leveled them up, you increased the Siva. Like, it just made the progression of the gun feel a little bit more unique in that sense.
More,
so Stallion,
I don't know if you can tell from my outrage at his dig at Kingsfall there, but Kingsfall was my favorite raid. It's still my favorite raid. If I can go back and play Kingsfall all day long, I would. I love that raid so much. Also, note that there are 3 people here with very different raid experiences, very different Destiny experiences, and none of us listed a D2 raid as our favorite.
Oof.
I'm just saying, Bungie, you've released more raids in D2 than you did in D1. And that's if we count Crota as a raid and not just a long strike.
Right.
Well, what is it? Spire of Stairs does not exist for me. And
Spire of Stars.
Stairs? Did I say Stairs again? Spire of Stars. I do that every time. Spire of Stars. I have to think about it. Does not exist for me. Okay. And Eater of Worlds is 20 minutes tops. So it's pretty much Crota. The D2 Crota. Leviathan for me was like meh, whatever. Last Witch is very, very fun. But I don't know if it tops Wrath for me.
Yeah. And then Scope
Last Witch
also
good.
happens.
Yes. And neither Stallion or I have finished Chronosaurus yet.
Yeah. Really?
I haven't even got into it.
My group is dedicated to doing it blind, so I'm going in that with them. We finished phase 1. We got to the jumping puzzle on part 2, but didn't get past that because of time restrictions. So we're slowly piecing it together.
Chronosaurus is a good raid. I gotta say the raid mechanics make sense. They're challenging, and they're not challenging because of light level. There's no amount of shooting at X target that will make the raid mechanics easier.
Yeah.
It's all about positioning and like true to nature, like MMO style raid mechanics. So it's nice to see that.
I like to hear that. Because that means that when Shadowkeep comes along, we can really I'm hoping that sort of thing spills out more into just the world as opposed to specifically raids. I guess you can kind of say that that happened with Menagerie too. You know, it's more. I don't want to call it a time trial, but I guess it kind of is like some time trial activities from some MMOs. I like that. I like to see that spread across Destiny. So instead of it being a shooter, it is an RPG. I like that.
Yeah.
So
And I think
it's a good place for the game to be.
it's definitely going to expand onto that. It's going to be, you know, the MMO RPG looter shooter that everyone hopes it to be,
For sure.
which I'm very excited about.
Yep. Yeah. I think the future is very, very bright right now.
Yeah.
For Destiny.
Definitely. They're making some good changes. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Pretty much out of time now. Morb, it has been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been nice being here.
Definitely be asking you back if we need the PC perspective in the future. You know,
Sounds good.
where you can see more than 30 frames at any given time.
Yep.
So where can we find you? What's your YouTube, your Twitch, your Twitter?
Well,
I guess I don't know. Wherever you want.
The YouTube is youtube.com/MorbTron Gaming, and the Twitch is twitch.tv/MorbTron. That's where you can watch my content. That's where you can watch me live. And as far as socials go, I'm on Twitter, and that's just @MorbTron. And as far as any other socials, I do not partake. So
fair enough. Well, those 3 links will be down in the description, and as always, you can find me at twitch.tv/Stallion or on Twitter at StallionTTV. And Panda.
So you can find me, well, this will be uploaded to my YouTube channel. So hit that subscribe button because it makes me feel special. You can also find me on Twitter at Panda_Pax and on the r/ShardItKeepIt Discord and subreddit. Links to everything will be, you know, in the description as usual. So thank you, Morb, for joining us.
Panda, I'm so proud of you. You got your Twitter right for once.
Yes, first time for everything. I didn't write it down or anything.
So good.